In this video, I want to talk about blitz consistency in Madden 16. So, I want to bring stuff to your awareness that can absolutely affect blitzes. Each one of these things I'm going to mention, at least 5 things, can all make it so a blitz won't come in, especially the defensive line blitzes. So, the first thing is there's a major line crashing issue in Madden 16. And what that means is basically, back in the day, you can just crash your line at any point, and then you can shift them everywhere you wanted to, and they would always do the exact same thing. This year, I don't know if they did it on purpose or if it's just something that's messed up, but if you crash your line too early, then they're not going to crash the right way. So, for example, let's say, like in practice mode, you'll never have to deal with this, but in the actual game, when your line's walking up to the line of scrimmage, if you crash them before they get up to the line of scrimmage, it's going to be different than if you crash them when they're at the line of scrimmage. If you're shifting them and you crash them before you shift them, and then you shift them after you crash them, then it's going to mess up the angles as well. That's going to mess everything up. And a lot of times, like sometimes, let's say you shift your line, and then one person doesn't move, and you crash your line real quick. Like that time you couldn't tell, but the angle can change, and it didn't happen right there. But if this guy's over here, you crash him, and then he moves over, then his angle is going to be different than if you wait till everyone's perfectly set and then you crash them. So really, the way to deal with this is to just set up the blitz the way you normally would, and then once the line's already set, then just crash them once or twice, maybe even twice, because sometimes it doesn't even register. So, that's really the number one issue that anyone might be having if for some reason a blitz doesn't come in, and that's especially true with any of the defensive end B gaps, DTA gaps. All those, the line has to be crashed perfectly. So that's the main thing you need to know about that. The second thing is base aligning. So you always want to base align. I think I might have found one blitz this year where you shouldn't base align, but for the most part, you need to base align. That way, everyone comes in. Now that brings up another issue. Sometimes you'll base align, and this linebacker will be out here, and he won't come in until a while. So in that case, you're going to have to bring him in if the blitz is not coming in. I'm not saying this is going to affect all blitzes, but a lot of blitzes can be affected by that. Everyone's going to need to be where they're supposed to be when you base align properly. And so the only really way to deal with this is to try to base align as soon as you break out of the huddle or as soon as possible. It seems like the players are more responsive when you do it early than if you do it late. So typically try to base align as soon as you can and make sure they're in the right place. The other thing is sometimes you're going to see linebackers just randomly moving around. Like they'll just come down into the gap or they'll just step way back here. You'll see that pretty often. All that can mess up blitzes very easily. So the only way to really prevent that is if you see it happening, grab that linebacker and then just nudge him a little bit to a certain direction, like where he's supposed to be, and then he'll stop moving. So sometimes you'll need to freeze certain players that way so they stop randomly moving around, because all that will mess up blitzes. The third thing that's important, not super important, but still important, is for the defensive end B gaps and defensive tackle A gaps, you need to make sure that you have your fastest person there. Sometimes it comes in with slow people, but a lot of times they'll get completely picked up unless you have someone who's at least like 70 speed, hopefully higher than that, hopefully mid 70s or high 70s. And so what you're going to want to do is go into your depth chart and switch it up, make it so the fastest D tackle is shooting the gap. If it's a DTA gap, put up your fastest defensive end, for defensive end B gaps. Have your package in a linebacker that's fast in the defensive end position, if that's who's shooting the gap. So that's really the biggest issue there with that, is just going to be speed. Maybe awareness has something to do with it, and I guess weight and size or something. But you just want to make sure you have fast guys there, and usually everything else plays out pretty well. The fourth thing is don't manually move players. Try not to. If your blitz isn't coming in because you're manually moving someone around, then don't do it, because that can mess up the blitzes. So for example, let's say we set up a blitz and it looks like this, and let's say let's say you want to move this guy way out here to try to stop the flat route better. Well, that can mess up the blitz. So you're gonna have to try to figure out another way to cover the flats without moving the person, or find a different blitz that covers the flat better. Maybe a man blitz or a cover two blitz or something like that. So don't want to be manually moving around players unless the steps specifically say to. You don't want to man align either too often. So for example, if you put all your linebackers in zones, they'll all be squished. But if you man align, that'll spread them out. Another thing that spreads them out that people like to do is, so for example here, they're all bunched, all the yellow zones are bunched in the middle again. If you base align twice real fast, that will move everyone out. That can also mess up blitzes. So try not to do that. I mean, if you do it and it works, fine. But if you're having trouble with blitzes, then obviously, this is something that's going to mess it up, and it's probably one of the causes. The other things that could cause blitzes to not come in are more strategic based, as opposed to just like artificial intelligence based, and it's maybe someone slide protecting, or they're putting a running back to block, or they're putting a tight end to block, and you're just not running a type of blitz that is designed to beat that. So for example, if you're running one of the three-man A gaps or B gaps, a lot of that stuff might get picked up by a running back blocking. So what's the strategy there? Well, you either have to live with that and know that you got 8 people in coverage, so you're fine with that because you have 8 people guarding 4, or you're gonna have to send a blitz that's sending maybe 5 or 6, a dual edge pressure, a B/edge pressure, or something like that. So that's the strategic side of it. The other thing is, if they're running play action, then you're gonna want to run a heavy blitz. I mean, you don't even need a fancy blitz if people are running all out play actions. If they're just running play actions and not even canceling it, you can just do anything as far as, you can just blitz people. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just put people off the edge like that, spread it out, and do a pass commit. Left trigger up on the right stick, or R2 and up on the right stick. And then your defenders are not going to fall for the fake. They're going to go straight for the quarterback. So that is what you want to know when it comes to people running play actions. When you're on defense, try to focus on what the offense is doing. Try to call it out, even, verbally if you can. Just say, okay, so-and-so just ran single back bunch. They did a play action. And now just keep that in your mind, and whenever you see it again, try to sort of expect the same thing and see if they run a repetitious pattern, and start trying to notice, are they blocking a running back? Does it look like they're slide protecting? Does it look like they're doing play actions? That way right away what you need to do to try to adjust to that, to either keep getting pressure or decide to just go out in all-out coverage. So that's pretty much everything that I think is really relevant right now as far as affecting blitzes. Yeah, things can get patched. Things got patched once on my guides last year. I had everything updated within a day. I'm not saying, I could do it that fast again. I'm definitely very concerned about things getting patched, and very concerned about things not working for you guys. So if anything does get patched, feel free to let me know. And I will be working on it as soon as I find out about it. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.